this is it. This one is for all the marbles. This is the big one, guys. There's just a fucking big one, okay? Obviously, you can tell where I'm going. I'm wearing the shirt. I got my Scarface action figure. I got all three of my editions right there, the DVD, the Blu-ray, and the fucking 4K, man. I got Tony Montana himself right behind me. And I'm doing the voice. So you guys know what this is gonna be. This is my ultimate sort of big review. This one might be a bit longer than the other Pacino reviews. What am I doing? I should do an intro. Hey, welcome to my next episode of the Al Pacino retrospective review series. This is episode 11, guys. This is the big one. Obviously, you could tell I did a little bit of a, tried to do a little bit of a skit there anyway. Yeah, today's movie is 1983's Brian De Palma directed, Oliver Stone written, Al Pacino starring, crime vehicle, epic crime vehicle, Scarface from 1983. This film has had so much influence on me, on my life. It's pretty much the whole reason I'm here doing this right now, why I'm here on camera. It's because of Scarface. Now, I was 11 years old when I watched the film on DVD for the very first time. And I've been a fan ever since. Now, I have seen movies before Scarface. I must say that. I have seen films before Scarface, but none were as impactful as Scarface. Anyway, we're going to cover that in the review. Obviously, you guys are going to tell I might be slightly biased on this particular one. But we are going to review the film nonetheless. We're going to take a look at the plot and the characters and all that stuff. Now, Scarface, let's give you the rundown of the cast, because Scarface has a great cast. Of course, you got Al Pacino, you got Stephen Bauer, you got Michelle Pfeiffer, Robert Loggia, F. Murray Abraham, Paul Shenar, Sosa, Harris Yulin, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio as Gina. Great cast, all of the actors do a great job across the board. And of course you got a epic script by Oliver Stone, which is only solidified even more and made grand and operatic by the ever-amazing Brian De Palma, who is definitely one of my all-time favorite directors. Anyway, let's jump in. We're gonna push it to the limit. See what I did there? And go all in on Scarface from 1983, baby. Here we go!
¿Cómo se llama?
Antonio Montana. And you? What you call yourself?
The plot of Scarface, which is a modern-day remake, modern being the 1980s in this case, of the 1932 Howard Hawks gangster classic, goes as follows. Antonio Montana, played by Al Pacino, is a Cuban immigrant coming over to the United States through the so-called Mariel boat lift, along with his best friend Manny Rivera, played by Stephen Bauer. With hopes and dreams of making it big and getting rich on the American dream, after doing a job to get a green card for the rich drug lord Frank Lopez, played by Robert Loggia, in the refugee camp Freedom Town, he's recruited into the organization, with his next job being a cocaine deal that goes wrong. But Tony keeps his head and climbs the ranks further by coming out with both the money and the drugs. Now meeting with Lopez and being introduced to the rich lifestyle and Lopez's beautiful wife Elvira, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Tony decides he's going to be the biggest drug lord in Miami, wanting Elvira for himself as well. He says to Manny that he wants what's coming to him, the world, and everything in it. After reconnecting with his sister and mother, finding his sister Gina, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, loving Tony and his mother hating him, and despising his criminal lifestyle, Tony is sent to Bolivia along with Frank's right-hand man Omar Suarez, played by F. Murray Abraham, to meet with one of the most powerful, wealthy, and ruthless drug lords of South America, Alejandro Sosa, played by Paul Shenar, who has offered to bring his product to the US. Tony works out a deal with him, however Frank isn't pleased upon hearing the news, as Omar was killed down in Bolivia after being recognized as an informer by Sosa's people. Tony is told to stall the deal, causing tensions between the two, which worsens even more after a confrontation at the Babylon Club where Tony is openly hitting on Elvira in front of Frank, prompting Frank to set up an assassination attempt on Tony's life. Tony survives this and takes care of business himself, killing Frank and taking over his empire and wife to boot. He becomes extremely rich after the deal with Sosa comes through. Tony now has the world and everything in it, but will soon face trouble in keeping it now that he's become a public figure and target to both rivals and the federal government. Slowly but surely, everything comes crumbling down. It's the classic rise and fall gangster story, but in my opinion has never been told better than right here with this movie. The choice to update the story of Scarface to the 80s and set it in the Miami crime scene with the Cuban background was an inspired choice, which came about when in the early stages of production, Sidney Lumet was going to direct the film before leaving, and then De Palma was brought on. I have to say I love Lumet as a director, but it would have definitely been a different film. I'm glad De Palma was brought in to direct this one, whose operatic style is just perfect for this film. The screenplay, written by Oliver Stone, is a tour de force, and Stone, who was a heavy cocaine user in those days, actually quit the habit while writing this movie. He had gone to Paris to escape being around the drugs entirely. The project came about by Pacino himself, apparently. Story has it he went to see the original Scarface in a movie house called Tiffany in LA. Having heard about the film for years, he went in and was enamored by the film and Paul Muni's performance and was to have said, "I just wanted to be him." Afterwards, he got in touch with Martin Brackman, Al's former agent and now producer, to set the wheels in motion on possibly remaking the film. The rest, as they say, is history. The operatic style, the music, the cinematography, the sets and locations are all fantastic. The casts are all top notch. Everyone for my money does a great job. Not a single bad performance by anyone in this film. Even the smaller parts like Tony's banker stand out. Stephen Bauer, who, fun fact, was the only actual Cuban in the film along with Angel Salazar, who played Chichi, delivered a great performance and absolutely held his own opposite Pacino, which isn't an easy feat, and he absolutely did it. Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira is another great performance and showed us what a great actress she was to become, as this was quite an early role for her. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio is absolutely wonderful as Gina Montana. Great performance and role, and she went on to do some great projects as well. Robert Loggia as Frank is, again, absolutely amazing as the old fox, taking Tony under his wing and showing him the ropes. F. Murray Abraham is terrific as Omar, a character we love to despise. A great early minor foil for Tony. Paul Shenar Sosa is one of my favorite movie bad guys. His swagger and voice are absolutely perfect for this role. I haven't seen Shenar in too many things, only this and Raw Deal with Schwarzenegger to be honest, and I do believe he passed away in the late 80s, which is a shame as he did a great job here and I would have loved to have seen him in more of these villain roles. The film, though considered a classic now and having a huge following by movie fans across the board, wasn't received as well back when it came out. Money-wise, on an estimated budget of $25 million, the film grossed about between $65 and $66 million worldwide, so money-wise it did okay. The film did get negative reviews and only a handful of positive ones due to the violence, strong language and drug abuse in the film. Totally snubbed by the Academy Awards, the film received 0 nominations. How? Al Pacino did get a Golden Globe nomination for his performance but didn't win. But probably the biggest shocker is the film was nominated at the Golden Raspberries, aka the Razzies, for Worst Director for Brian De Palma. How the fuck is that even... How? Anyways, myself personally, I've always loved the film, as you guys obviously know. Ever since watching it at age 11, I know, relax, don't judge, I turned out fine as you can see. I often cite it as the film that made me the movie fan I am today. Sure, I saw movies beforehand, like the James Bond and Rocky films, which definitely laid the foundation, but it was Scarface that solidified it and made me go, alright, I love movies big time now. It made me go down the rabbit hole of checking out every other film Al Pacino has done, anything that Michelle Pfeiffer is in gets my attention. Brian De Palma is one of my all-time, probably top 5, top 10 favorite directors. The soundtrack made me really love the 80s music, and anything 80s music is my favorite. All this and more thanks to 11-year-old me sneaking a copy from my brother's room to mine and watching it because, well, obviously my parents weren't going to sit me down to watch it. Without that experience, I'd honestly and probably wouldn't be here today doing what I do and having the collection that I do and being the movie fan I am. Basically, it's my whole reason for being on YouTube essentially. So with all that having been said and done, it goes without saying that Scarface gets a 10 out of 10 stars rating for me without doubt. A essential movie recommended for all movie fans and especially Al Pacino fans. It truly is my favorite movie of all time. I can't sing any more or higher praises than that. So there you guys have it. That was my review for the 1983 crime epic drama, gangster film, whatever you want to call it. I love this film so much. Obviously, as you can tell, this is not just any sort of random Hawaiian shirt, by the way. This is like a sort of a, I don't want to say it's a cheap knockoff, but it is a sort of replica of the one that Pacino wears in Scarface. you know, it's got the little tigers on it and stuff. It's very cheaply made. It's not an expensive sort of shirt. It's probably like a Chinese bootleg shirt or whatever. I'm sure you can get better versions of the shirt that Tony wore, but I think it's very authentic, very true to the one that he wore in the film. There's obviously some differences, but you can tell how much I'm a fan of this film. I mean, you know, I got my Tony Montana Scarface figure in the chair and everything. I've got, man, I love this film. Like I said, it's the sole reason for being here, and it finally came full circle a couple of days ago when I finally saw Scarface on the big screen on re-release. Now, it was epic, it was awesome, the theater was packed. There was only like 1 or 2 empty seats left in the house. I actually went to see the film with a buddy of mine from work, actually. And you know, we sat there next to each other. We really, I mean, for him, I mean, he's not the super massive Scarface fan that I am, but he does really love Scarface. He might have only seen like a handful of times, like 4 or 5 times, including this theater watch now, the cinema watch. I mean, I obviously watched the film countless of times. I mean, I can close my eyes and I see the film in front of me. I can do this whole film, you know, quotation wise from beginning to end. Yeah, we've had a great experience. We've had a great experience on the big screen in 4K with great sound, theater sound. You know, it finally came full circle because, yeah, like I said, I was 11 years old when I first watched the film, when I snuck up the DVD of it and watched it with the volume turned down a little bit because I didn't want anybody to hear that I was watching it. But I loved it, man. Actually, at that time, at 11 years old, after I first watched it, I watched it once a week. You know, I made it a point of watching the film once a week at that time. So I watched this film over and over and over, is what I'm trying to say. And the thing is, even now, 15 years later, because I'm now 26 years old, the film hasn't lost, I should say, any of its impact for me. When I watch it today, it's still as impactful to me as it was back when I was an impressionable 11-year-old child. It's still, I mean, yeah, and again, like I said, don't judge. I was 11, yeah, I was 11, but I turned out fine. I mean, obviously, I might be a little bit nutty in terms of of the films that I collect and all my stuff. I mean, obviously you can tell Scarface has impacted my decorating skills as well, because this room here, it was all white, but I painted sort of Scarface style with a black wall. You have the red, and that's pretty much my whole motif here in the room, red and blacks, which is pretty much the interior of Tony Montana's mansion. It is a lot of red and blacks. So I was a little bit inspired by that even in my decorating. I painted these walls here. But yeah, that's how much the film impacted me. And like I said, guys, if it wasn't for me watching that film at 11 years old and being so impressed and amazed with it, I probably wouldn't be sitting here doing this right now. I would probably, if I was doing anything on YouTube, I would probably be just a full-time sort of gamer. I would stream all the games, and I probably would have went down that route in terms of the media that I like. I mean, I do like gaming. I obviously, as you guys know, on my channel, I do occasionally do playthroughs of games. I'm currently doing the Uncharted series. Yeah, no, it's had such an impact on me, and like I said, and I'm so grateful for the experience too. I mean, like I said, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have met people like, you know, I'm gonna name drop a couple of my YouTube buddies: Carlos, Eastwood for Life fan, Gareth for Your Tasties, Dan from Dan's Movie Cave, Steven from TV Nash, Donnie from Cinemaniac 77. I could go on and on. James from JT to Ricky, all the other viewers. I mean, I could go on. Sorry if I didn't name you. It doesn't mean I don't like you. I just don't want to go down the entire mega list, which honestly I do have a mega list because I love all of you guys that subscribe to me, and I love all your content as well. You know, I love being in the film community, and it's because of Scarface that I'm here in this film community. So I owe it all to Al Pacino having that decision back in the early 80s when he saw the original 1932 Scarface, which we should not forget that exists. I mean, obviously, as much as I will say this one, the '83 version has, you know, it blows the '32 version out of the water. For me personally, I do like the '32 Scarface version with Paul Muni, but we should not forget that it exists, because without it, we wouldn't have it. So it's as simple as that. But yeah, I'm grateful. I mean, because a lot of people say, like, how can Scarface? I mean, a lot of people say Scarface is a great film, but I would never call it my favorite film. Well, the thing is, it's all subjective, it's all personal, and for me, it's just because I've had that experience of watching it as an 11-year-old, watching it over and over, and it sent me down the rabbit hole, watching every Al Pacino film, being interested in anything Michelle Pfeiffer's in, and even Stephen Bauer and the rest of the cast for that matter. If I saw that one of them was in it, I would watch the film. Mary Elizabeth and Paul Shenar, everybody, Robert Loggia, and that led me down because of, you know, I watched all the Pacino films. I naturally graduated towards, you know, people like Robert De Niro, Jack Nicholson, Dustin, everybody. That really was, I mean, like I said, the foundation was laid with me watching the James Bond films and the Rocky films. Obviously, I'm a big Rocky fan, as you know, big Stallone fan, and I did watch a couple of Stallone films after I loved the Rocky films so much. But nothing really solidified and sort of, you know, gave me that spark to just go on this journey of trying to watch everything worthwhile out there, to be honest. Do I watch terrible films? Yes, I do, but even those can be enjoyable, like, you know, the Steven Seagal straight-to-DVD videos, movies. You know, that's the thing, yeah, and terrible B-movies and stuff. Because I really have expanded my tastes over the years, and I just love pretty much anything, you know, cinema. It's, for me, and for me, the origin for me of cinema, for me personally, is Scarface. So that's why I say it's my favorite film, just because of the sort of impact and influence it's had on me, and influence in the best way. I mean, it's not like I have a picture of this guy on the wall and I'm idolizing him because he's such an amazing drug dealer and murderer and stuff. No, Tony Montana, yeah, the character, he is, but I always looked at it as Al Pacino just giving that great explosive performance. I never really idolized the character Tony Montana as much as I do the actor that plays him, and that's why Al Pacino is my favorite actor, and that's why his performance as Tony is my favorite performance of all time. Because after I watched this guy, after I watched Sir Al Pacino as Tony Montana, I wanted to be an actor. I mean, I was really like, that's why I do the impression. Because I was trying to just be him. I was trying to emulate him. You know, I wanted to be that guy. And it's exactly what Pacino had when he saw the Paul Muni version. He just wanted to emulate that performance. Sadly, I didn't pursue my dream of becoming an actor or going into the sort of industry of motion pictures or whatever. But I'm an entertainer in my own way. Of course, now I'm on YouTube, hopefully entertaining a couple of people that are watching. You know, it's a crazy world on YouTube because sometimes your views are up and down and the subscribers drop and you gain. But I do think I do have a sort of big group of friends here on YouTube that do like my content, and I love their content as well, so it's mutual. I think I really have found, you know, the things that I honestly I could never have imagined on YouTube, but that's a whole different honestly that's a whole different story. But I never could have imagined what this whole YouTube thing could have done for me in terms of, you know, gaining friendships, you know, overseas and stuff. I never could have imagined that something like that would have happened, but that's a whole different story. That's a whole different video. But no, I want to thank you guys for tuning into this one. Again, this might be a longer one. I think it definitely is a longer one than the previous Pacino reviews, but this one deserved it, because without this I wouldn't be doing this video series. And again, I don't want to go down it again, but without it I wouldn't be here, and etc, etc. But yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. Scarface, like I said, gets 10 out of 10. Next week we are gonna have a film that's gonna be a drop in quality. But it's also going to be the season finale for season 1. So for next week, we will have the 1985 historical drama, which also turned out to be one of the biggest flops in motion picture history. But I still think it's a okay, decent film. But next week is 1985's Hugh Hudson directed Revolution, starring Al Pacino, Nastasia Kinski, and Donald Sutherland. So join me for that one. That's going to be the season finale for my season 1 of the Al Pacino retrospective series. I wish we would have ended it on this one on a high note, but I figured let's go to the downs, and then when we come back, it's going to be like a rising, phoenix rising from the ashes. It's going to be with Sea of Love in season 2. We're going to kick off, and it's going to be like the comeback period. I just figured that would be sort of the best way to do it. So anyway, join me next week for Revolution. Stay beautiful, guys. Stay safe and healthy as always. Keep on punching, keep watching great films, and say goodnight to the bad guy. Okay? The last time you see a bad guy like this again, let me tell you. Anyway, guys, stay frosty, keep punching, and I will see you all later.
So say goodnight to the bad guy. Come on. The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again.